Hey, I'm Joy Lyon. I'm the director of the Association for the Education of Young Children in Southeast Alaska, and we work to inspire and mobilize adults to be engaged in the early learning and health and wellness of young children. And so as we work to strengthening families and early learning programs, we work with all of the 5 protective factors for strengthening families. And people are always asking me now, what are those 5 protective factors that researchers have said have really lead to the long-term good outcomes for young children in terms of their resiliency and being able to handle the stress in life? And so I kept forgetting these 5 factors, and so I thought of a way to remember on your fingers and thumbs.
Who doesn't want to?
So if we look at the thumb, and about the child, and the 4 fingers are the protective factors around the adults. And the thumb, you think of represents social emotional development. So if you think about a child sucking their thumb for security, or if you think about the parent wrapping the child in a blanket of warm support, or you could think about this as being the limbic system in your brain. That's in the center of the brain, the social emotional development part. And so the thumb represents the social emotional well-being of the child. And then that's very connected here to the first finger, which is the parent resilience. And that's the parent putting themselves first, taking care of themselves. So reducing the stress in their own life and coping with that. Because there's this loop that happens where if a parent's really stressed, that's going to spill out over onto the child. And then, of course, the child's stress goes up, and the child acts out and misbehaves or whatnot, and that just goes to increase the stress of the parent again. So there's this loop that happens, which we want to really help, to benefit and to reduce that stress. So then we look at the other protective factors. The middle finger, that's really well connected, isn't it? And that's really demonstrates the social networking that's really important for parents. So they're surrounded by this network of friends and family, faith community, co-workers. And if we don't want to have that finger all by itself, that's not a good thing. So by having a parent really well supported, that's going to lead to their overall strong family. So we have the child's social emotional development, we have the parent's self-resilience and stress coping, then we have the social networking, and then the third finger, the ring finger, that to me reminds me of the ring of knowledge, that knowledge of child development. Because when a parent knows what to expect from different ages of children, then they're better able to help their child learn and to not feel as stressed that they're doing a bad job if their child isn't getting it. So really, that's very empowering to have that knowledge of child development, that ring of knowledge. Then finally, we look at the pinky finger, and that's fragile. That's the one that's most likely to be injured. So if you think about a family in a crisis, knowing where to turn in a crisis, that's like getting a splint around that finger, that pinky finger that's very vulnerable. So knowing where to turn in the community, having a whole community that has services to support the family, that's knowing where to turn in a crisis. So again, if we want to remember the 5 protective factors for strengthening families, we have the child's social emotional development, the parent resilience, social networking, knowledge of child development, and then knowing where to turn in times of crisis. So I hope that helps you to remember as well as it has helped me. All right, well, off we go.